Conference Championship Sunday picks on the College Baseball Experience is brought to you by Edge Boost. They've partnered up with the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and it's the perfect bank account built for bettors. Go over there, sign up today at edgeboost.bet with the promo code SGPN and get a $25 deposit bonus. What is going on, college baseball fans? Welcome into college baseball conference tournament Sunday edition of Betting Picks. Myself, Noah Bieniek, hosting today. I am going to get through this one quickly. Betting odds didn't come out until like 9:25 a.m. today for whatever reason. There were 3 games throughout the night, and then looks like we're only going to get 6 total today. There are 14 conference tournament automatic qualifier bids up for today. I went through and found 8 matchups that typically a lot of books offer these conferences for. So still going to be a great show, very quality show. Found a couple of projected pitchers for these matchups, and I cannot wait for some of these games as we are just one day away, 26 and a half hours away from a NCAA tournament bracket. So loving the morning streams, says Crutch. I mean, honestly, if it was by my plan, I wouldn't be doing it because it really helps us at SGPN we always see our numbers best on podcast platforms from 6 to 9 a.m. So typically I like to get in, live stream it early, but we haven't gotten the odds, very early in these other days this week. So yeah, it's kind of called for these morning shows, which has kind of delayed my sleep/nap schedule, and I've missed a couple more early games than I'd like to admit I have. So yeah, the chat's absolutely rolling. Like I said, I'm going to try to keep it to like a half hour, 45-minute show here with just the 8 games to pick. The first one this is at noon in the AAC championship game, just a one and done. Both of these teams emerged from their pools, East Carolina and Tulane. At the beginning of the season, these are your 2 Titans. However, they are not seeded like that, and they're still, they endured kind of. Tulane maybe has been there, done that with a lower seed getting through the AAC tournament, but East Carolina not used to the below average type season in the American Athletic, and yet they are in the championship game, 1 game away from returning to the NCAA tournament. Cliff Godwin continues to do great things with the Pirates. I'm going to project that Sean Jenkins throws for them. Yesterday, I projected him to throw, but, he had thrown or started against South Florida just a week ago. So when he didn't fare too well, he threw only like 3 innings against the Bulls. They saw him pretty good, hit him, touched him up quite a bit. So I think that, ECU bullpenned that game against the Bulls yesterday, and they were able to get through without using Jenkins in what could have been a bad matchup. And now they've got their stud freshman going today, or at least I'm projecting him to pitch today against the Green Wave for a chance to go to the NCAA tournament. Earlier this season against Tulane, he threw 4 innings, just 2 earned runs. In his last 4 starts, he's got a 4.60 ERA. On the season, a 5.66 ERA, 47 strikeouts, 19 walks, and 62 innings with a 4.24 Sierra there. For Tulane, it's a little bit more of a harder projection. They don't really have a weekend rotation arm left who hasn't thrown yet this AAC tournament. They had 2 really good battles with UTSA, so they kind of used quite a bit of arms in those games. So Michael Lombardi threw last Tuesday, and we'll see that quite a bit today with those tournaments that started on Tuesday. A lot of the mid-majors that, they're in one bid only leagues, they're throwing their aces today. So even beyond the 8 games that we're going to talk about today, um, I would advise being a little bit more cautious, because even if I'm not projecting an ace to pitch, especially in some games that I'm not even going to touch on today, it is always in the cards that coaches are going to throw that ace for a couple of innings, because the kid very well could come up to you know, the manager and be like, "Hey, I am good to go for 2 innings today. I'm good to go if you need me for 9 outs, coach." And what's the coach going to do? He wants to get to the NCAA tournament. He's going to send the kid out there, give him the ball, let him take the mound. And it's a great thing to see. And a lot of times those guys go out there and they shove and they're able to get their teams to the tournament. So Lombardi would be that guy. He's been a reliever for a lot of the year, but he is no doubt Tulane's best pitcher. In his last 6 appearances, it's a 1.06 ERA. He's 4-0 on the season, 2.84 ERA in 38 innings, 67 strikeouts, 20 walks with a 157 Sierra. Opponents are only hitting 147 against him. Now, how do you get it to Lombardi? Sure, they could start Lombardi, but I don't think he's going to go the full 9 innings here. Who else makes up the other parts of that 9 innings is the big question for Tulane. 2 guys that haven't thrown yet this weekend: Blaze Wilsensky, who's got a 7.44 ERA, and Will Clements, who's got a 7.15 ERA. Tulane's plus 120 for a reason. I think they've got the better, arm waiting in the wings in Lombardi, but I'm not sure if they're really going to be able to dictate how this game's going to be played out. I like East Carolina. Minus 154 is something that I'm not really going to want to touch in this matchup. Like I said, I'm being a little bit more conservative with the plays today, because some good arms are going to be throwing at random times throughout games today. It's going to be hard to predict, but that's what makes these days so much fun. The next game that I'm going to talk about doesn't have betting odds currently, so I ran over to the College Baseball Insiders matchup predictor, and it spit out Samford as plus 337 against East Tennessee State. TBAs for both teams, for what it's worth. Brooks Rice is the weekend arm so far for Samford that has not pitched yet this weekend. He's started 9 games this season for the Bulldogs. Rice has a 4.1, or he threw 4.1 innings, just 1 earned run in the month of May. He's 0-3 on the season with an 8.75 ERA, 23.2 innings, 23 strikeouts, 18 walks, and opponents are hitting 296 against him. That's not really going to work against a really good East Tennessee State lineup here. But so this is their 3rd game of the weekend here, East Tennessee State. However, their SP3 just last weekend, Ben Upton and Jack DeLongchamp were on the call the game after that one of their weekend arms had a UCL injury. I believe it was Jace Hyde. I could be wrong, and I apologize if I am, but I think it was Hyde who went down with the UCL injury. So, unfortunately, they're down to kind of guys that have started sparingly some games in midweeks. Landon Crumbly is a guy who hasn't thrown yet this weekend. He's started 4 games this season. He's got a 2.90 ERA in his last 3 starts. He's 3-1 on the season with a 4.31 ERA. 39.2 innings, 31 strikeouts, 14 walks, and a 4.18 Sierra. I like East Tennessee State here. Again, no betting odds on this currently, even if they do come out. This is probably more of a parlay piece than anything, but still not necessarily sure that I want to jump in on a guy that's only had 4 starts this year compared to a guy with 9. However, Samford's arm here that I'm not 100% is throwing, but has not had the best season so far. Let's talk about an interesting one. In the A-Sun, Florida Gulf Coast is playing Stetson. The Eagles are going to have to knock off the Hatters twice if they want to get to the NCAA tournament. And again, this is one of those tournaments where the play began on Tuesday, so teams could bring back their aces on Sunday if they choose to do so. Florida Gulf Coast is playing in their 6th game of the week. They would need to play 7, like I said, to win this tournament and play in the NCAA tournament. and they're out of arms, honestly. So they are probably going to throw their ace Evan Dempsey in this game, and you don't get to the seventh game without winning the sixth. So throw the ace in the sixth, win it, and then test your luck with your offense against Stetson's arms and see if you're able to win one of those games. But yeah, that's probably what's going to happen here. Dempsey on the season is really good. 141 ERA, 4-1 on the year, 63.2 innings, 71 strikeouts, 18 walks with a 292 Sierra. And in his last 4 appearances, it's a 0.86 ERA. He's been untouchable. And quite frankly, Ethan Phillips, who I project to start for Stetson, has been very touchable. In his last 3 appearances, he's got an 18.57 ERA, which is very, very hard to do. Against Florida Gulf Coast earlier this season, 3.1 innings, 4 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 strikeouts, 3 walks. So I'm not really necessarily projecting that he's going to pitch very well in this matchup. Phillips on the season has a 5.17 ERA in 47 innings, 30 strikeouts, 26 walks, 4.99 Sierra, 2.92 batting average against. I think Florida Gulf Coast, if we get betting odds on this one, would be a big, big dog, and it might be worth a shot. Follow their team, accounts on social media. See if Dempsey is throwing. If he is, it's worth a look 1,000%. Before we continue on with the conference tournament Sunday slate, go over there to sportsgamblingpodcast.com. The SGPN store is running a 20% off everything on the store. You can get the college experience hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts, what have you. We've got a bunch of different color combinations for a bunch of different school combinations that you may be a fan of. So highly recommend you jumping over there. Use the promo code DGENS. Get 20% off everything in the SGPN store. We are also brought to you by Edge Boost. It's the first ever bank account that is built for bettors, ensuring that all gambling transactions are approved. There are no usage fees, no minimums. You can earn cashback rewards, 100% approval for all betting deposits. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet with the promo code SGPN. You can deposit $25 and Edge Boost will match that deposit. Edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. And we are also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog has teamed up with SGPN as they are going long for the NBA playoffs with their extender bonus. Hop in game 1, and the longer that the series goes, the bigger the bonus will get. Sign up today with the promo code TCE SGPN to get your special pick plus first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCE SGPN. And we are back here on the college baseball experience. We're running through the Sunday slate of conference tournament week. Got 8 games that I've written down and handicapped and went and found some, probable or projected pitchers per se. There are 14 games, 14 auto bids up for grabs today. And just these 8 conferences have kind of been offered throughout the week. Others are like your MAC, the MAACs, the NECs, conferences like that don't really get the respect of the sports books. I watch a lot of baseball too. I try my best to monitor everything, but even I admit that, I haven't watched many of those games either. So honestly, my best guess wouldn't be very good in those matchups either. So it was kind of just a business decision. Plus, we're going to keep this show under 45 minutes. That way we can get it up on podcast platforms before noon for everybody else out there. Next matchup here is the ACC Tournament Championship between Clemson and North Carolina. The Tar Heels are minus 175 in this matchup. Clemson is plus 135. For the Tigers, this is a really, really tough projection. They have been all over the place with their pitching staff the entire year. BJ Bailey threw against 3 batters on Friday. He has 5 starts on the year. That would be like my most confident projection, but even still, I'm not like super, super confident that he's going to throw. If you're looking for a real wild card, that would be Justin Lagurnick, because Bailey hasn't really been good in his, last 3 starts. It's been really, really rough for BJ Bailey. Justin Lagurnick was in that opening weekend rotation to begin. He was the game 3 starter, but originally he wasn't even supposed to be a starter because Clemson had 2 preseason weekend rotation injuries. So the Tigers have been making do with what they have. And they're in an ACC tournament championship for the second time in 3 years under Eric Bakich. It's a tremendous coaching job once again by my guy. However, I'm going to go with North Carolina. Folger Boaz is the guy that I think is probably going to start here. He pitched in relief the other day, actually yesterday, against Florida State. He only faced 1 batter. So I think he's definitely going to be able to come back on one day, or just one day later, and be able to start and give some length here. Folger has 4 starts on the season. He's 3-0, 3.90 ERA in 27.2 innings. He's got 28 strikeouts, 16 walks, and a 4.18 Sierra. To me, I know Clemson's going to be able to take advantage of any mistakes that North Carolina makes. They really capitalized on all of those from Georgia Tech yesterday, and that's how they're here today. I just don't think that North Carolina's given many people freebies lately, and they've been, in my eyes, the best team in the ACC this year outside of the first 2 weeks of the regular season. I like the Tar Heels in this game. Minus 175 is a bit rich for a pitching matchup that I don't know, what it's truthfully going to be. But honestly, I don't love the minus 175 price. If you're out there going to bet it, all the more power to you for jumping on that. Because whoever Clemson throws, I'm really not going to be sold on them, and I would still be picking UNC. But I just, this is probably a game that I'm going to watch live, and when the odds waver is probably when I'm going to jump in on North Carolina. That would be my advice there. The totals, totally forgot about totals. I always do that too. East Carolina Tulane 13.5. That one probably goes under with Jenkins and Lombardi, who I'm projecting. Clemson, North Carolina, total at 11. This one's got a shot to go over. This one has a shot to go over. It's an offensive ballpark. Clemson's got no pitching left. North Carolina's already used all 3 weekend starters this weekend. I like the over 11. That's actually my new favorite pick here, rather than, I'll watch the game live, take North Carolina possibly. Over 11. There we go. Now we don't even have to have a side. Over 11 in Clemson, North Carolina is the way that I think we should go. CBS Sports Network has a college baseball tournament championship game, and it's in the Conference USA as Jacksonville State and Western Kentucky are doing battle here. No Dallas Baptist, as the Gamecocks beat the Patriots twice yesterday to get here. This is going to be Jacksonville State's 6th and final game this week. Again, this is another team that has no pitching left, and this is another tournament that, began early enough to where you can throw your ace. This would be 3 days rest, but this would be your typical weekend regional where it's a game 7 if necessary on a Monday after throwing your ace on a Friday. The ace is typically going to get the ball at some point during that game 7 game of a regional. So you can look at Stephen Cash probably throwing important innings for the Gamecocks in this one. He has a 3.27 ERA in his last 4 starts. On the year, he's 5-2 with a 4.52 ERA in 79.2 innings, 60 strikeouts, 30 walks, and a 4.42 Sierra. For Western Kentucky, this is actually really interesting because their pitching staff is so deep, so it's not a problem, but it makes it really hard to project what they're going to do here. This is a must-win game, so do you go with some of your top arms on short rest, or do you continue to go down your depth chart. I mean, WKU has 9 arms with a sub 15 ERA with at least 30 innings thrown on the season. That is super, super impressive. And I'm actually kind of hoping that this team gets in the NCAA tournament because they'd be pretty competitive with that pitching staff. Like I said, they could go further down the depth chart and use some arms that they haven't quite given some length to yet this weekend, or they could turn back to Taylor Penn, who's only thrown 58 pitches. He threw on Thursday in that game 1 of the Conference USA tournament. He was the starting pitcher, and then the reliever of that was Gavin Perry, who's been one of their better arms this season in general. He only threw 64 pitches. So on 3 days rest, I think we could definitely see those 2 arms here. I think Western Kentucky wins the game, minus 200 again. Kind of a price that I don't love. The total's 12. This one probably stays under, but that's really, really frisky. Like, honestly, risky to bet the under there because the pitching's pretty thin, especially if you're throwing some of these guys on short rest. So, yeah, that's my take there. The final game at 1:00 that we're going to talk about is the SEC tournament championship game between the Ole Miss Rebels and Vanderbilt Commodores. The Rebs are plus 124. Vandy Boys are minus 160. The total's 10.5. TBAs for both. And believe me, when I found out that Mason Nichols, who has 14 starts for Ole Miss, was left off of the tournament roster, very, very interesting move from Mike Bianco. Honestly, kind of stunning. And maybe they didn't expect to get this far in the tournament, to the point where you would need to use 4 starters. Very, very interesting move. So they can't go with Mason Nichols, who's been in the weekend rotation for the entire year. Who could they go to? My projection is Alex Canny. He's a really interesting arm from D2 Tampa University who won the national championship last year. He was their best pitcher there. It's a strike thrower. He's not going to blow anybody away. He's got 22 strikeouts and 15.2 innings, but it's a 5.17 ERA, 10 walks. Opponents are hitting 319 against him, so he's not fooling anybody. And Vanderbilt's not an offense that's going to be swinging out of their shoes. They'll actually be able to make pretty good contact here. And they've got their midweek starter that is probably slated to go. That's Austin Nye. He's got a 6.29 ERA in his last 4 starts. He didn't even make it out of the first inning in his start against Kentucky. So this game has over written all over it, 10.5. That's got to be higher. I know it's Hoover. I know they're expecting weather, but I don't think either pitching staff really has the firepower left early on in the game to keep these offenses down. Maybe Vanderbilt's got some bullpen arms that are fresh and ready to go here. Didn't really check what type of usage they'll have available for this one. After a blowout against Tennessee, I'm assuming they used Fennel in relief for whatever reason yesterday. So they've probably got Hawks, Miller Green ready to go. Vanderbilt probably wins the game, and they'll do so in the late innings with that good bullpen. But I think some runs can be put up early on in this one. The Vandy Boys, minus 160 is probably my pick here that I feel the most confident in. The chat is rolling along. Arizona was clutch last night, says D Dope. K Britt says, second that, love these morning shows. Brian Notke saying Noah B back in the big chair. Who believes in the Pirates, says Can-Am. Colby Dant does. He was texting me about them yesterday. He was at the ACC tournament game with his brother Nick, the Clemson Georgia Tech game. Also checking out the former Pirate Eric Bakich, coached the Tigers there. Steph Kerr says, appreciate the Arizona money line shout. Had them parlayed with North Carolina minus 1.5. That was sweaty, but congrats on the cash for sure there. Brian Notke's a Rebs fan. He's saying Sco Rebs. Tyler's sitting on an 18-1 Ole Miss ticket here too. And Sunday Puncher says Vandy unfortunately will make a super regional. Why is it unfortunate, Sunday Puncher? Why is it unfortunate? Vandy catching a stray. We've got 3 more games on the slate, and we do have betting odds for all of them. Stay tuned, but we're going to take a quick break here to read an ad from our partners, because Rhythm is your home for AI-backed picks and props. You can dominate the NBA playoffs, PGA, MLB, and they also just launched their WNBA product. Rhythm knows that they're going to love their platform, so that's why they're giving you a 7-day free trial. Rhythm has some amazing deals going on right now that they want you to check out. A 25% off monthly subscription with promo code SGPN25, and you can get a 50% off annual subscription with the promo code SGPN50. That is Rhythm, spelled RITHMM, promo code SGPN25 or SGPN50. Go over there, get your 7-day free trial today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. And SGPN is teamed up with Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, as they are giving away the ultimate fantasy football experience for a 12-person league to draft in Vegas and be treated like VIPs during the stay. The winner will receive a 2-night stay at Circa Resort and Casino for the entire 12-person league. That is 6 Double King rooms. You can hold your draft at a cabana at Stadium Swim with a $5,000 food and beverage credit. There will be limo transportation to and from the airport with a welcome party at Legacy Club for the league at arrival, a reservation at the world's largest sportsbook with a $500 beverage credit for the league, a 2-hour open bar package for the league at Overhang Bar. The contest runs from May 5th to June 30th. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/circa to enter today. That is sportsgamblingpodcast.com/CIRCA. And SGPN is also brought to you by mybookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet on every sport, including the NBA playoffs. For the true degens, the MyBookie money bag can suit you. MyBookie also accepts customers from a ton of different locations. They're easy to deposit, and you get lightning fast payouts using crypto. Head over to mybookie.ag. Promo code TCE SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply. That is mybookie.ag. Promo code TCE SGPN. Kevin Roper checking in says, "Morning, Noah. Did I miss the Southern Miss breakdown?" No, Southern Miss is actually coming up right now, actually. So writing down my ad time because I forgot. But yeah, Southern Miss's game is coming up right now. MG asking about ECU. That was the first game that we covered. Go ahead and rewind it about 24 minutes. Sunday Puncher says, "I'm a Big 12 guy. The SEC, no love." No love. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's elite this year. I very well think that Vanderbilt might be able to play their way into a national number 1 overall seed. Crazy. Yeah. Let's talk about that Southern Miss game. The Sun Belt Conference Tournament Championship game today will take place at 2 p.m. down there in Montgomery. The Golden Eagles are plus 114. Coastal Carolina is minus 145. The total is 11. Tough projection here for Southern Miss. They've kind of pitched every starting pitcher so far this weekend, and they're kind of out of starting pitching, and I'm not sure how much this game means in the manner of they're already in the NCAA tournament. I don't think that they're going to bring JB Middleton back out. I'd be reasonably surprised that he would come out after throwing 3 days ago. So I don't think we see Middleton. The first arm, or maybe the bulk arm of this matchup for Southern Miss might be Josh Oche. He's 2-0 on the season, 4.74 ERA, 34 innings, 39 strikeouts, 22 walks. Opponents are hitting just 188 against him, so he's still a somewhat tricky arm to figure out. And Coastal Carolina, if their offense isn't on point, maybe this is a tricky arm that could hold them down. Coastal does have one of their midweek guys, available to throw for this game. Luke Jones has started 9 games this season, and he has not thrown yet on the weekend. Jones is 4-2 with a 3.18 ERA and 45.1 innings, 35 strikeouts, 20 walks. He's got a 4.43 SIERA, though, so he's due for some regression compared to that 3.18 ERA. Typically, SIERA, that's an advanced analytic that takes into account the quality of contact that is put into play off of pitchers. I like SIERA in college baseball because, strikeouts and walks are kind of a dime a dozen for amateur pitchers, and rewarding ground balls and also flyouts, I think, are very important rather than FIP. It's just strikeout, walk, which are super common, and home runs are also through the roof in college baseball too. So I just find those numbers a little bit more finicky, and I can trust SIERA a little bit more. Anyways, the way that you translate SIERA is add a 1.5 to it, and that would be your typical ERA. So if Luke Jones has like a 5.9 ERA realistically, but he currently has a 3.18, and he's facing a good Southern Miss offense, is today the day where he has a little bit more of a rougher outing? Opponents are hitting 206 against him. It's a very tricky game to get a feel on, because I don't think that either team's really going to be trotting out their weekend arms again. They really, in the grand scheme of things, they have nothing to play for. Yes, they're playing for a Sun Belt Conference tournament championship, but they're not going to throw any of their important arms into the fire, per se, with the NCAA tournament next weekend. So this is really kind of up to the depth arms and the offenses. I'll take the plus money. I'll take Southern Miss at plus 114 here. The total at 11 is very tricky. I would say the over would probably be my pick. Again, not a whole lot of conviction on either side there for me. Let's get to a pick that I actually feel pretty good about. All right. The Big Ten Tournament Championship down in Omaha, 3 p.m. Eastern. This is going to be played between Nebraska and UCLA. Runs are going to be at a premium in this game. The total's at 10.5. UCLA's money line is minus 250. Nebraska plus 190. UCLA's thrown one of their weekend starters who hasn't appeared yet. So the 2 pool play games that UCLA played, they basically went, entire bullpen games. They were given 6-7 different arms a look in 9 innings, and they were able to win one of them. And because they were one of the top 4 seeds and one of the top seeds in their pool, just win one game and you were into the semis. So they didn't use any weekend pitching. And Landon Stump is probably going to start in this game, and he's definitely the better starting pitcher in this matchup. Stump has a 2.40 ERA in his last 3 starts. He's 6-0 on the season with a 4.43 ERA in 65 innings, 56 strikeouts, 33 walks, and a 4.58 SIERA. However, Nebraska played on Tuesday, and they threw Ty Horn only 49 pitches. So Ty Horn, who's a regular weekend arm for the Cornhuskers, is probably going to throw here too. In his last 4 starts, he's got a 4.74 ERA. On the season, it's a 5.89. He's thrown 70.1 innings, 64 strikeouts, 28 walks. This Nebraska team struggled from the end of February to honestly mid to late April. And all of a sudden, they seem to have figured it out just in the clutch hitting department. I'm not by any means saying that they're an efficient or a great offense, but they seem to be getting the big hits right now, which is the most important thing. And, this is a good pitching staff. They're deep, and they've got options that they're going to be able to use outside of Horn in this game too. They're going to have a big, big, big crowd advantage. We've seen it yesterday. Place was nuts for Oregon at 10 a.m. Yesterday, they were also able to knock off Penn State to get into the spot. Again, I have trouble explaining logically how Nebraska is going to be able to get it done. I'm just telling you that there's a great chance that they're going to be able to get it done, and that chance is greater than plus 190. I like Nebraska plus 190 here. I think this one stays under 10.5. It is Omaha after all. It is gloomy weather after all. I don't think the ball is going to be flying today. And Landon Stump's been great. Ty Horn's been good this season. Nebraska's got options in that pen. I think it stays under 10.5. So if you're not bold enough to take the Cornhuskers on the money line at plus money, take that under, because I just think that runs are going to be at a premium in this game. Final game on the slate is a very, very interesting one. So these two teams have played each other twice this weekend, UC Irvine and Cal Poly. UC Irvine run-ruled Cal Poly in game 1. The Mustangs come back and they run-rule the Anteaters in game 2. So we have a total at 14.5. UC Irvine's minus 166 and Cal Poly is plus 130. UC Irvine is not desperate to win this game. They are in the NCAA tournament. They're most likely not a regional host. So, they're playing for a Big West tournament championship, which again, I know that there is motivation there, but on the other side, Cal Poly needs a win to just get an auto bid, completely forget about the bubble, and get them in. They have a good RPI as it stands right now, but the resume metrics are not ideal. Just take it all out of the committee's hands once and for all together. Win the conference tournament. That's exactly what Cal Poly is trying to do here. Griffin Ness, their ace, definitely in play to appear at some point during this game. However, tough projections for both, who I think will start. Finnegan Wall could throw here, as UC Irvine's used a lot of the regular arms that they typically use on a weekend. I think that you see the duo of Finnegan Wall and Ricky Ojeda in some form or fashion in this game, because Ojeda didn't throw many pitches. The first appearance that he had, I think it was only 30 on Thursday or Friday, whenever UC Irvine played the first game this weekend against Hawaii. For Cal Poly, I think it could be Luke Kolfsbeek and then followed by Griffin Ness, their ace, or it could be Griffin Ness and then Kolfsbeek. But both arms here, Wall and Kolfsbeek, who I think are the best remaining arms that haven't thrown yet this weekend. Both are ERAs in the high 6s, both batting average against through the roof. Offenses should be able to have their way here to a point, because like I said, I expect Ricky Ojeda to be deployed at some point. He's the best reliever in the Big West. I expect Griffin Ness to be deployed at some point. That's Cal Poly's most confident arm. So do I think it's going to get over 14.5? I'm not confident in that, but I think that offenses are going to have success until we get some of the better arms in crunch time in the leverage innings. I like the over 14.5. That was probably my favorite pick in this game. Cal Poly plus 130, and just it attracts me a little bit, just because the Mustangs need it more. So that's kind of where I'm going to point you for this game. But give me, to wrap up the show, I appreciate everybody tuning in. This has been a great turnout. We've got over 70 watching on YouTube currently. Thank you all for tuning in. You can follow me on Twitter at NoahB77_. You can follow this show at TCE on SGPN for all postseason coverage of college baseball. I will be at a super regional live in person. I will be in Omaha for the College World Series live in person. So we've got great content coming your way on that front. For today, though, favorite bet has to be the over 11 in Clemson, North Carolina. And then my second favorite picks, in general, come in the Big Ten tournament. I think runs are going to be at a premium. If you're not bold enough to play the Nebraska money line, I would take the under 10.5. best of luck to everybody that's tailing these plays. I hope you all enjoyed this show, me running through the most probable pitchers that I think are going to throw in some of these games. I'll be back tonight in some form or fashion. I have Rocco Miller coming on as we are going to go through a bracketology projection. We posted one on 11.7 that we all could not agree on whatsoever. It's a really tough regional host bubble this year. There are probably 20 teams worthy of hosting, and there's only going to be 16. So it was a very tough conversation that we honestly didn't come to an agreement. So we released 3 different projections, all blind, and we put up a poll for everybody to vote on. If you're interested in that kind of thing, check it out on 11.7, the account there, and vote on your favorite bracketology projection. I will be live in some form or fashion with Rocco Miller tonight for bracketology. I will be live with the 11.7 boys tomorrow as we are doing a live reaction show to the Field of 64 being announced, being revealed. We'll have coach interviews. We'll have player interviews. It's going to be like an entire ordeal. We'll probably go 6 hours long or something crazy. They did it last year as well. I can't wait to join them. So it's going to be a lot of fun. 26 hours until we get that bracket. Cannot wait. Let's go. This has been the college baseball experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we are out of here.